What's up, everybody?
Yo, welcome to the Tug of More.
Super glad that you're here, hanging out with us. Just a conversation between two friends.
That's right.
About where we are and where we want to be. The
Yeah.
goal of accomplishing something greater and beyond where you are. And I think that's something that we're all have inside.
Yeah.
A desire to accomplish something. And that's what we talk about here.
Yeah, that we know that we're here right here today. We're grateful for it. We've worked hard to get here, but we also know there's more that God has for us. And there's like a tension, a balance, a tug of like being content where we are, but trying to really get to where God's called us to. And so that's what we talk about a lot on here.
That's the tug.
The tug
of more.
Yes.
And so we hit all kind of topics from leadership. We're both pastors, and so there's a lot of ministry conversation, but also we are Bible people.
That's true.
And so being Bible people, we talk about that a whole bunch.
Yeah. And so we've been in a series for the last several weeks on values, what for our church and our staff team, like values are how we do what we do. So we're called as pastors to love people and to help point them to Jesus, but the values are the way that we do that, the way we accomplish the vision of the house. So we talked about church values each week in depth. Then last episode, we covered 5 of our staff values. Because for those of you who are leading a church, leading a staff, or just leaders in your business, it's good to know, to have some extra values to help more clarify what it looks like to be a leader. And so we talked about the last 5 and it was good.
Well, we were planning on doing all 10 in one episode. And then we looked at our countdown clock here and realized that we had been going 50 something minutes. And we're like, let's wrap that and we'll pick up the other 5.
Once it's over an hour, it's a lot of, that's a lot of content.
But before we get into that, what's happening?
Well, our chairs are different than they were because you and Rachel did a message on Sunday, which was great.
Oh, yeah.
And you use these chairs like to sit on stage. And so we put our chairs back, but they're kind of a little more angled towards each other.
Yeah.
But I like it.
It's a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah. But I'm now insecure about this.
Whitney's insecure about her jaw.
Yeah. It's like a hereditary thing.
Skin.
So it's like, even when I've lost even more weight than I am right now, it's still there and I don't know what to do.
Yeah. I got the same thing happening. Every time I see a picture of myself, which they take all the time, I'm like, dang it. Why is that?
Yeah, it's
why
so
is that not moving?
So
is this age?
Yeah. I think it's both age and.
Do I need to get my neck sliced open?
I want to.
The great thing about being a dude is they probably just do it and then your beard line covers it up.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, for us, we just have like.
Or does it look like
here.
you just had what's that? Mafia necktie. Like cut your slit. No,
oh, that's not good.
Pull your tongue out of your throat.
Mafia necktie.
That's what they call it.
I bought one of those rose quartz like rolly things. Julia, you be knowing about those, right? Yeah. You like put your moisturizer on and then you roll it and it's supposed to help. And then they have a silver one that's supposed to be even like a next level. And I bought that one too.
Did you get the magnet one from Rare Earth Magnets?
No,
I'm just making that up.
I was like, wait, what? No, but I will. Like, send me the link.
I bought one of those things you chew on.
Yeah, they say that exercise,
but it
does not work.
I saw no benefit. I mean, the truth is, dude, I've been eating a long time. Like I've been eating through some steak. So like these muscles on my face are already greatly developed. It's just there's too much fat up in here.
It's frustrating to get older, but also just not. Yeah, maybe I'll do it.
We can just walk around like this. Do I look natural? Do I look natural on camera?
No.
Hey everybody, welcome.
Julia's making it very.
If I get this done.
Yeah,
hey everybody,
we have to wait,
welcome
I think,
to the
for
Tug of
at
More.
least a 5 to be at the top of our age. Maybe a 6.
Rachel,
50 or 60.
You have to what?
We need to wait till we're at least 50 or 60 to do this. Remember that one friend we had, and she was in her 30s and she got it done?
Yes.
And she looked beautiful,
plastic.
and then she looked plastic.
Yeah, she looked like a Tupperware.
It made me sad for her because she looked great.
Rachel told me I need to get hair tattooed on my bald spot on my head.
Oh my gosh. Rachel.
She's probably right.
Yeah,
but what happens? You get tattoo on the top of your head to cover your bald spot, and then you get more bald.
Right, you're gonna have to keep going back.
Right, but then eventually I'm then fully bald, but I just have a weird
head tattoo. Yeah.
That I guess from 10 feet away it looks normal, but like looking up closer, you're like, oh, that dude's bald. He has tattoo on his scalp. I don't like wearing hats. Is the problem? I get too hot.
Oh.
If I was a hat guy.
Then you would just cover it up, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I don't know. Rachel and I have tattoos. That's what our eyebrows are.
Yeah, they have their eyebrows tattooed.
The problem though is that Julia didn't even know, see? But we need them always. But I guess you kind of need your hair, but you don't need your hair.
When Winnie and I are first becoming friends,
for
for some reason I had to go over to their house. and I went to go give Aaron something, or me and Aaron were going somewhere, and I go over their houses early in the morning.
Oh, okay.
Winnie don't have
like, what are
any
you about to say?
Winnie don't have any makeup
Yeah.
on, and she ran from me and covered her face.
Yeah.
As if she would melt if I was like Medusa. If I saw her, she would die.
I was in my 20s then, you know, and in your 20s, you're still like...
You care?
You care what people think. Like now, you've seen me a bagillion times
Yes.
with no makeup on.
Yeah.
But, and now also like...
Now I have meetings with Whitney while she's putting goop on her. She has like... and then she's rubbing it in while we're talking. And I was like, I'm watching the transformation happen.
This is happening right now.
I'm not dogging her. You look fine without makeup.
No.
It's just funny.
But it's funny that the progression of like your 20s, you're like, do I have enough makeup on? Then in your 30s, you're like, I got to figure out the less makeup to wear so I don't look too old. Then by the time you're 40, you're like, oh, do I just give up? I don't know.
One of the very first times Whitney preached, this is our Matlock
Oh,
building.
my gosh.
We had old like projectors.
Yes.
And we had bad cameras.
Yes.
And so she gets up to preach, and I look at the screen, and it looks like she has metal cheeks.
I had bought the new...
I'm telling you, metal.
That's what you told me. You go, you said, you were like, did you put metal glitter on your face? And I was like, what? I had bought the new Anastasia palette of like highlighter. And it was just like when highlighter and contour was like first like becoming a thing, really.
I don't know what any of that is.
I know, but the girls a lot.
But you were walking around looking like the Tin Woman.
And it was like, and I remember
only on the camera.
Yeah. I remember that morning actually looking in the mirror and thinking, I look good.
And then you walk off
I go on
stage.
and everyone's like, hey, Tin Man. I'm like, oh, God, Julius. They didn't really tease me. They were nice, but they also teased me.
Hey, listen, let me tell you something. Wounds from a friend can be trusted.
That's true.
Don't be getting up there metal cheeks. You got to do something about that. This is what friends do.
They tell you, because then I was able to at least just go and like tone it down for the next one. I don't remember. I remember what I did. Or maybe I just kept
what else
metal
has happened around here? We had a men's conference. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think we already talked some about that.
I think we talked about that one.
We had a women's event. That went
Great.
great. Packed. Do you know what I'm super excited about? We haven't talked about this. Moore Church used to have problems in our previous Matlock building that we didn't have enough room on Sundays for everybody to fit in the room. Do you know what we don't have enough room for now? Community.
Yeah.
We have so many people that are attending our non-Sunday events.
You're right.
The room's too small.
You're right.
What a great
It's a great
What
problem.
a great problem to have, that there's still some seats on Sunday, but man, we do a Tuesday night, Thursday night,
Right.
Friday night mid-event. The place is piggity packed. Tyler comes and talks to me. He's like, Pastor, we got to go buy more tables.
Yeah.
And we've got so many tables now, we can't even store them anywhere.
Yeah, we got them from other churches. Like we've already bought a bunch or had a bunch.
Yeah.
Now we have to get more. We're doing our volunteer appreciation November 1st. And super pumped about it. If you're part of our church, you should sign up. It says black tie. It's just for fun. If you don't want to wear black tie, just wear your
If
fancy
you're a
jeans.
volunteer and you don't come to volunteer appreciation, thumbs down. You get double thumbs down. We love you. God loves you. Keep volunteering. Keep being a part of the church. I just love you so much. I want you to get what we have for you.
Let us please honor you.
Let
Let
us
us
honor
please.
you.
But
And we're watching your kid, and
Yeah.
we're feeding you dinner.
And that's the thing.
And we're
So
gonna
we
tell
have
some
so many
jokes.
people that are coming, and we have great food and all the things. And so we're having to lay out our tables, and we're having to do all the strategiosity. It's not a word.
Yeah.
But because they won't all fit. It's amazing.
What a great problem. Not
It's a
enough
great
room for,
problem.
not enough room for community.
I love it.
Okay.
So good.
All right, let's hit it. Let's
Okay.
hit it. Values. We already did the first 5 of our staff
Yep.
values. And so if you missed that episode, you can grab it up in a corner.
Wherever Julia put it. And then now we're going to talk about the last 5.
Yeah.
So the first one of the last 5, did we read them all?
Are your shoes, what is that symbol on your shoes?
A swish, but not a swish.
Are those like a brand or no?
I mean, it's called Dolce Vita. It's not like a Nike or it's not like a. No, I don't know.
Is that a logo or is that just a?
No, it's-
Whitney looks like she killed a cheetah. And
Yeah,
Put
they're
them on
leopard shoes. Because the great thing is I've always loved leopard. It's always been my neutral is what I've said. But now it's the color of fall.
wait. Leopard is your neutral?
That's what I've always said. Like, because you can just put it with anything and it
Okay.
goes. But then now it's the color of fall, which is not really color. I know it's a pattern.
Okay.
But I took a picture with a bunch of ladies from the church this Sunday because they all had on leopard. That's
You
the
got
thing.
it on your phone.
I got it everywhere.
I'm
I
wearing
love
this shirt I got for free from a concert, and it's too short. So I can't lift my arms up when my stomach shows.
Now he knows how we all women feel
That's
in
your own,
worship
that's
all
your
the
own
time.
dang fault. I'm about to throw this shirt in the trash can when I get home.
No, no, you're not.
I don't know. Man wants to be mid-drifting around town.
It's not. It looks better than you think it does.
Yeah, but if you ask me to put something on a shelf, I'm gonna have to be tucking my shirt in to put some stuff on the shelf.
It's ridiculous.
I want to be able to do work.
Ridiculous. Okay, wait. What?
Sorry, I'm distracted.
Yeah, I'm like.
I've been falling apart the last couple weeks in second service.
You have been.
I've been saying crazy stuff in
It's
second
kind of
service.
fun though.
First service together.
Serious. Well,
not serious.
I mean, but like
online
church business.
Second
like,
service.
We are doing church.
What the junk did that dude just say?
Well, there's also.
Did you hear my super inappropriate rap quote that accidentally came out?
Yes.
Rachel said something that reminded me of something, and I say a rap quote, and like the next line is
super
horrendous.
Inappropriate. Yesterday, I said something, I'm not going to say it, but I said something in the presence of you and Enrique and Tim that I did not know was a not appropriate reference.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say it. But then I went home and told my husband, I was like, did you know that this means this? And I said it, and I thought it was just like a regular colloquialism. And he's like, no, it does not. It means that. How did you not know?
Yeah,
and I'm
she said it, and me and Tim just look at each other, and we're like,
they were like, no,
you can't say
don't
that
say
anymore.
that. I didn't know. I don't know. I went to private school. Sometimes I blame it on that. I don't know. Okay, what were we talking about? Oh, values, 5 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're gonna look at me like I'm the one that got us off track. Come on.
Anyways, I'm saying I am becoming a little bit more. Well, what's happening is I'm more comfortable in my own skin.
Well, and second service
and so
is like a
I'm
different
unhinged
energy.
a little. Oh yeah, let's talk about this. 9 o'clock. Would y'all wake up?
I feel like we need to have like.
We need to have intervention.
You know how like people have parties and they have Jello shots? I feel like we need to have espresso shots.
Golly.
What? We're not having Jello shots. We love God.
Get crunk for Christ. Hey, go.
We can
listen,
have espresso shots.
I
that
like
we
this
pass
idea.
out at the door.
I like this idea. I think that we need to have our greeters have big syringes that are full of
that's a good idea.
espresso,
Open
and
your
you
mouth,
walk
open your
in
mouth.
and we just inject you with some caffeine.
Because why are they like, good morning?
I mean, they get there eventually.
It just takes till the third song, and then sometimes for you, I'm sad because I'm
Well,
like,
I've just been yelling at them now.
You've been saying you used to never say it in a long time. You've not been saying
I'm preaching better than y'all let me know.
But you've been saying it in first
I had
service.
to bring it.
because
I had to bring it
they
back.
not be saying it. Come on, if you're in first service, help bring the energy. If you're in second service and you're like, you know what, I want to get up earlier and bring some energy to 9 o'clock, do that.
There's only one reason someone doesn't amen.
What?
They're convicted.
Oh. Oh, now he got you. Next week, everybody, amen, the whole time.
See what I'm saying?
Okay, let's go back to where we're talking about values, how we do what we do.
Okay.
I don't have a good way to segue into it. So
You just did. Values.
values. First one is, but
really
sixth
one.
one
Yep.
is that we own our zone, but we play the field.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
Do you ever play soccer?
No.
You weren't ever like on a soccer team? No. Okay, I was on a soccer team as a little kid.
A lot of sports.
AYSO.
AYSO.
Something Association Youth Soccer. AYSO. I don't know what the O is.
Organization.
Affiliated Youth
Soccer
Association.
Association.
Okay, I was in AYSO. I played soccer as a little kid. And I was always on defense. That was my zone because I've had these shoulders since I was a little kid. And so I didn't really have the speed to be out in the field. The agility. I'm more of like battle tank, like I'm in the back playing defense. But what happened is I would get excited.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I'm going to score. And so I would get the ball and little chunky husky Truston starts going downfield and I would pass the middle line and now I'm down trying to score a goal. You know what would happen? Some little thin kid would get the ball and then run back. I'm not back there to be defense. They'd get the goal. Right. You know why? I wasn't owning my zone.
Come on.
I wasn't in my zone. And when I'm not in my zone, the enemy wins.
Whoa.
AYSO, loser.
AYSO.
We used to do a parade. All the AYSO teams were in the parade. And that's the first time we would wear our soccer cleats in the parade.
Really?
Yeah, it's the first time I was in a parade.
That was the first
Maybe that's
time,
why I
but
like
not
parades
the
now.
last. Right. I was going to say, now you're in parades every year.
Multiple.
Yeah, we try.
We're the church of parades.
So owning your zone is if you are on our staff team and you're overseeing a department or responsible for an area in a department, you all have a task list. Everybody has a job that has to get done. We better own that. We better not just like, oh, somebody else will do it. But we have to know, like, this is my responsibility. I have to own it. I have to see it. What does Enrique always say? Cradle to grave.
Cradle to grave.
And inspect what you expect.
Shut the door.
Shut the door. Right. And so, like, you gotta own it. You gotta be responsible for it. If you have Julia is in the room and she helps oversee our photography team on Sunday. And If Julia doesn't have any photographers per se on a Sunday, let's say they all bailed at the last minute because they didn't get their espresso shot, and they don't show up. Julia is not going to say, I know Julia, she's going to own her zone. She's not going to say, well, we just don't have any pictures this week.
Did we talk about Tiffany falling down, dropping the camera? Have we talked about that on the podcast yet?
I don't know.
We haven't?
Tiff.
Dude, Tiff, that was bad. You know how you try to walk somewhere so people won't see you, and you're trying to like be real sneaky? Well, Tiffany's trying to come sit on the front row to take a picture. Who's preaching, Tim?
You. Oh no, Tim.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's a good thing. It wasn't me
right.
preaching. So Tiffany's coming and she's walking like kind of bent over so nobody will see her. She straight eats it. I don't know.
She tripped on a bag or something.
A carpet gremlin grabbed her ankle, and dude, she's down. The camera fell. Dude, the lens pops out. She's down, and I about lost my ever-loving mind.
It's good what we said later.
Tim,
kept
unfazed.
Because he's a consummate kids pastor. So he is used to Titus jumping off a chair, Evan crawling under a table.
But he's also I say when you have metal cheeks. I just say stuff.
Yes, if it had been you, you would have said,
"Oh,
Tiffany, are you okay? Congregation, look at our girl Tiff. She fell. Can we all give her a round of applause?"
Oh, just clap it up. Is that camera okay? Hey, pass the buckets. We got to buy a new camera.
And Tim is it's okay. Tim is that guy for me all the time.
He
like
covers
when
you?
I'm a fool. There's one time we were with a group of like pastors and missionaries, remember, in another country, and I started snapping at my husband, and then Tim starts, "Did you know the story of how French onion soup was made?" And he's like doing a song and dance to like cover for me. There's lots of times that Tim's like, "Whitney, shut your mouth." But instead, he covers for us. That's
Sorry, Tiff. If I tease you, it's because I love you.
Yeah, that's true. So Julia, back to Julia. If Julia has no photographers and Tiffany breaks her ankle and can't take pictures, Julia's going to grab a camera. And Julia's probably going to also grab somebody else that she knows has photography skills and be like, "Hey, I know you're not on the team today, but I need you to come be on the team." Because she's owning her zone. Yeah. She knows that it would not be acceptable or good to just be like, "Oh, well, we didn't take a single picture today."
If you're the goalie, you got to stay in the goal.
Yeah.
You're the goalie.
Right.
And so like for our team, if you're over kids, you've got to own your zone.
Right.
But there's occasion where we have to be willing to play the field.
Right.
And so a great example of this is anytime we have a big event around here.
Yep.
If there's a big event, it is not in Enrique's job description to get a rototiller and dig a hole in hard dirt so the baptism tanks sit flat.
Right.
That is not in Enrique's job description. But he's willing to play the field and get out here and do this position that isn't real normal for him to do. It's not in Whitney's job description to go to youth camp and run around all week and drive injured kids or lost kids or sick kids to a nurse. That's not a part of your job per se. But you're willing to play the field. You're willing to, like in this moment, I know that my zone is covered. The ball's not even close. I'm nailing it over here. So I can jet over here for a minute, help, and then come back.
Yes. No, it's good. I was thinking of it. Destiny just had a baby. Shout out to Birdie, who's just born. And Mele is gone. Her grandfather passed away, and they're having a large family gathering. And so we're about to have a Costume Sunday this week. And so we have a photo booth that's happening. We have all these things. And in staff meeting today, Enrique said Brady is going to cover for them in setting up the team of volunteers that's going to come and making sure they're here. Brady is in our kids department on Sundays.
For sure.
She's overseeing. That is her zone that she is running our 4, 5, 6 area on Sundays. But for this particular Sunday, because some of our team is out, she's going to play the field and say, "I got you. I'll help with the volunteer coordination. I'll make sure people show up." And that's a great example of like all the time. There's times when we have to just go, you know what? I remember times before and why this is an important value where I've heard people, whether on our staff team or volunteers team, say, "Well, that's not my job." And we just don't play that way.
Yeah.
It's all our job. It's always all our job.
Yeah.
You've said it before, like when we've been without, a youth pastor in a season or without a worship, you're like, technically I'm the youth pastor. We all have to be a part of making sure the ministry happens. And so there's never that's not my job. That is a allowable thing. And so that's why values are so important, is because when you hear a word or a phrase that's contrary to what the values say, then you can easily point it out and go, hey, that's not how we do what we do.
Yeah. Something we talk about the values is that they help us identify how we do what we do.
Yeah.
And so this piece for our staff is, if there's ever a person on staff that's not owning their zone,
right,
then we can have a conversation.
Right.
Hey man, your area is this.
Yeah.
And it feels like this is not being owned. The ball keeps getting through here and scores or the devil's shooting on us.
Right.
And if there's not really a team mentality, then we have to be willing to play the field.
No, it's good.
Okay.
Then
we could talk about that for 45 minutes.
But that's good. Then next one is don't just see problems, solve problems. Go.
It's a little self-explanatory. The great thing about the values is they're easy to hold on to.
Yeah.
And so, it's very easy if you're an observant person, it's super easy to point out problems.
Right.
And like for me, I almost can't go anywhere and not notice light bulbs that are out or things that are crooked in architecture.
Right.
Or employees that are slow. I can't help but notice
when things are not how they should be.
And when things could be better.
Yeah.
Like, man, Rachel and I went to a restaurant and I was like, man, if I could help and fix and change these few things, people would make great money.
Right.
They have great food, but horrible people service. But just because you're able to observe a problem does not mean that you necessarily have the capacity to fix the problem.
Right.
This is where arrogance becomes an issue in the church, where people think that they know how it should be done. So for our staff, we say, don't just see problems, but solve it.
Yeah.
Like, think about, okay, well, how can I fix this? How can I make this better? What are a couple solutions that I can potentially bring? Because that takes real thought. Mm-hmm. That's actually leadership.
Well, yeah, for a long time, I remember part of where this value came from was we had people that would say, well, the problem is. And they would just talk about,
I forgot about
the
that.
problem. But they would never talk about a solution. And so what ends up happening is any idea, any dream, any event we want to plan, all it was doing was getting shot holes in it of all the problems without ever any solutions. And so
Which makes you have to just sit on your hands and never do anything.
It turns negative. It turns... it stifles growth and opportunity and change
and creativity.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
because we tell our team to dream like there's no budget. Like we have an unlimited budget. Let's dream like that, and then once we dream, then we'll come down and actually hone it into what the budget we can fit. And the same is true for that. If we can let go, let's not worry about the problems. Let's not worry about the issues. Let's dream without it. Then we can come back and find the problems and solve the problems. Yeah. But if you're just shooting holes of that, it just turns negative real fast, and it's lame. And so another thing for you and I, like as leaders here for our team, is like when you're bringing me a problem, the hope is that you're not just bringing it to us to solve, but that you've already thought through a few solutions that are possibilities. So sometimes, like you said, they're at their level, you see the problem, solve it right now. Some things need another oversight of solution, but don't just come and say, hey, I can't solve this problem. I need your help. Think through what you said. It takes thought. Think through a couple of ideas that are like, hey, we could solve it like this. We could solve it like this. But what do you think? What that tells me is, one, you've thought about it.
You care.
You care about it. And you're invested in the actual solution to the problem. And so, don't just see problems, solve problems.
Another piece to it is you don't always have to get an accolade or permission. Like if you see a problem, solve it.
Right.
You don't have to ask, hey, is it okay with you if I pick up this piece of trash on the ground? Is it okay? Like Tim changed our kids' checkout process.
Right.
He didn't come and have some gigantic meeting with me about flow patterns and how that needs to work. He saw a problem. He made a shift, a change, and then he observed to see if it's going to work good or work bad.
Right.
Ministry is an experiment. So he's willing to try the experiment to solve it. And he didn't come and say, clap for me a whole bunch after he did it.
I solved the problem.
Yeah.
Right. It's just, and that's a great delineation of like, this is not a, ooh, good job, you did something above and beyond. No, this is a set expectation.
Yeah.
The expectation is that we're going to solve problems. And so, yeah, there's plenty of things that a lot of us solve every day for each other or for the organization that nobody really ever knows, and they don't need to. That's just part of our job. Yeah, that's really good. Okay, next one is love, lead, and labor with a sense of urgency.
Did we not do, we didn't do this one? Maybe me and you just talked about this.
Maybe. Oh, I think we talked.
Maybe at
well,
Harbor
we've
Weekend.
also gone through all this with our staff team, so maybe that's part of it too. I
Love,
don't know.
lead,
Oh, yeah, we did talk about this.
labor with what? Sense of urgency. And so I think urgency is, I mean, these feel like big words. They are, love, lead,
Right.
labor. But urgency is the key because so many people don't live with a sense of urgency.
Right.
But for us, for how we do it, we're going to live
Right.
with a sense of urgency that life is finite, life is short, and our window to reach the world for our generation is short. And so we're going to work with urgency. We're not going to wait 3 months. Like I've been on church staffs before that they won't try something until it has been 100% vetted, planned, approved, guaranteed success. And that just feels real slow to me because you have 900 meetings before you actually try something. Mm-hmm. Whereas I would rather us run with a little bit of urgency.
Try it.
Which is, but you might stub your toe.
Right. Try
Like
it. Maybe
you
there's
might
some
drop
issues.
something along the
Right.
way, but let's have some urgency to get the thing off the ground.
No, I think of so many different areas in the church where we've done that, all the way from back at the
Yes.
Matlock building when we had 4 services and we're running out of room, and we said, oh, we're going to move to the Pig in 6 weeks and back to set up and tear down.
Like we left locations to be portable in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That's urgent.
That's urgent. I think about our open house that we do now was not really functioning the way it should. It wasn't going as well.
yep.
And then you just happened to go to something and you saw something. You're like, I think this is what we need to do. You took me and 2 other people on our team. We flew out there. We checked it out. And within 4 weeks, 5 weeks, we incorporated it into our church, and it's been a game changer. It's been a huge thing. And I think about how many people God's brought into the church in the last year. And if we wouldn't have changed this open house, which is just like our first step and first funnel of getting people connected, how many people would miss out on being connected now? But instead, when I talk to them, when I meet them, they say, oh, everything changed for me at open house.
Yeah.
And what you said is the funny part about the values is they all go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. And so if we wouldn't have been willing to solve the problem, not just see the problem, but solve it and then solve it urgently, we'd miss out on so many things. And I think a lot of it is what you said, the people not wanting to do it wrong, or not wanting to screw up, or not wanting to fail, or even have the appearance of failing, that we're like unwilling to be urgent, that we go slow because I just want to make sure it's perfect before I do it.
Yeah, there's a terror that you're going to look like a bad leader, and so you want to dot every I and cross every T before you roll something out so that you don't look like you're dumb. Mm-hmm. Well, I would rather be like, man, I think I've thought this through 85%,
right,
and 15% of it I'm never going to figure out. Like we tried for years to get people that raised their hand to ask Jesus in their heart to fill out a card. We couldn't get it. Couldn't figure it out. Every iteration did everything.
Change the location of where it was.
Put
change
up banners. Put up lighting. Gave people like special T-shirts and badges. Everything. And then we were somewhere and saw that what they do is they just have the prayer partner stand in the back, and when someone raises their hand, that person goes up to them and introduces themselves and gives them a Bible and gets their card. And so I remember us talking about it. And we talked to our elders about it, and there were so many what ifs.
Yeah.
Well, what if they have a big prayer need? Or what if they've raised their hand 8 times? Or
what if it feels intimidating, scary, and they?
What if I'm a man and they're a woman? What if all of these questions? And I said, you know what? I don't know about all those questions. Y'all are going to have to tell me what we do with all that. So we're just going to start.
Right.
Just stand in the back, and the Aguiletas. Argue every time. I'm sorry. I married a Mexican, but I still screw it up constantly.
It's okay. They love you.
And Emerson is like, yeah.
Let's do it.
Aida's like, yeah, let's just do it.
Let's just try it.
And they just rip the Band-Aid off, and they just start standing back there.
Yeah.
Someone raises their hand, they just walk up to them. Now, they had a plan and a piece of paper and like all the things, but it was kind of just out here in the Wild Wild West.
Right.
Like kind of just like in the relational wild, like what's going to happen.
Right.
And you know what? Nailing it.
Yeah.
They've learned a ton of lessons.
Right.
They now have a pattern, and it's now there's a ton
more
that's been
succinct than it even was.
But we started 85% figured out.
Right.
And urgency said, start it now. There's
Yeah.
souls on the line.
Right.
And we're going to figure out the other 15%.
It's really good.
In a minute.
And so that takes
And
us
now they have.
No, 100%.
And now they've taken it to 120% beyond what
where
I
people
thought
are
it needed to
following
be.
up, they're taking
Right.
them and making sure they're getting connected, they're in community, they're finding discipleship. It's incredible.
Urgency.
But that takes us to the three pieces: the love, the lead, and the labor.
Yeah.
And the reason why we have that urgency is because we love people. We are in the people business.
Yeah.
And like sometimes that's super hard because people are people. But the reason at our core that we do it is because we love people. And
Yeah.
we love, and our hope and our prayer is that they would find the love of Jesus and their lives would be changed. And so we have to love people with the urgency of knowing that like, eternity's on the line, or maybe the issue in their family is on the line. If I don't love them urgently, then I'm going to miss out. You know, if somebody's in the hospital and I don't call them and pray for them then, or if I don't text somebody when I know that God's prompting me to, I've maybe missed out on this opportunity to love them well. And so I have to be urgent with my love. If I really value and believe in what I'm saying of how I do what I do, then I better love them urgently.
Yeah. So we love with urgency. If they're in the hospital, we're going to call today.
Yeah.
If their marriage is falling apart, they don't need me to meet with them in 3 weeks.
Right.
They need an elder to reach out right now.
Right.
So we love with urgency. We lead for our staff. If there's a little fire in the corner, you'd better go stomp that crap out fast.
Right.
Because if you don't stomp it out fast, it's going to grow and burn the building down. We need to lead with urgency.
Today, this morning, we had a 2-hour meeting
Yeah.
with our team over something that happened yesterday that we were like, we have to lead through this and we have to lead through it right now.
Right.
Because if we don't, then little seeds can get planted,
The
little
fire's
fires
gonna grow.
can start, and we don't want that to happen. And so instead, we're going to value the urgency of bringing this to our team. And so we're going to lead through it and we're going to do it right away.
Yeah. You've got to lead. Leading is never fun. The right decision is never the easy one.
No.
Very rarely is the easy one.
Right.
And so you've got to jump in and make the phone call.
Right.
Recruit the person. Have the hard conversation. That's leading. Leading is not writing another sermon. Leading is not writing a book. That's another part of ministry.
Right.
Leading is conflict many times.
Right.
It's friction.
It's friction.
And so we're going to step into friction with urgency.
And leading is about other people. Like yes, you lead yourself, but also in the urgency of it, you've got to be leading like those around you. You have to be paying attention. Is there something I should be leading them through? Is there some area? What you're saying is so good that I think often we get stuck in this is the priority of today. But if you have a Sunday every week. And so like, if your priority every week was only to write your sermon, then you would never lead through. And so it's easy to say, well, the Sunday sermon is a priority. Well,
I'm owning my zone.
I'm owning my zone. I got to
Right.
do it. Right. But you also have a responsibility to lead. And so for everyone on our staff team, if you're on our team, we say it, you're a leader.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have been hired. You wouldn't be on the job. You wouldn't have gotten the job if our expectation for you was not that you would lead. And
Well, we learned years ago we had to just quit hiring doers.
yes, correct.
Because
That's what I was trying to get.
If all we do is hire doers, then I have to hire 500 of them
Right.
to do what we're called to do.
Right.
We have to hire leaders that can equip the saints,
Yeah.
the doers, to be able to.
Right.
to
Well,
do the
because, and especially for us, I mean, this is why we were talking about volunteer appreciation. We literally could not make a Sunday happen. What they figured it out. It takes like 150 volunteers per service or something.
Yeah.
To make the current services that we do, all the different areas of volunteering, and we can't afford to pay 150 people.
300 people.
Or 300 people,
right.
yeah, 2 services. So we have to be able to lead those that are volunteering, that are serving, and we have to do it well.
Okay, labor.
Labor.
This is just kind of a part of our brand here, is that we're hard workers. And so I saw Whitney pick up a piece of trash on Sunday. Like there was a mint or a cough dropping wrapper, and she's talking to somebody. I saw her bend down and pick it up. We're willing to get our hands dirty around here. Like if it's got to get thrown in the back of a truck, I'm going to be the first guy to go and do it.
Right.
And so there's some of that culturally
Yeah.
is that we're laborers here.
Right.
Like we're not just like prim and proper office only people. And so we're going to labor with urgency. If there's a problem, we're going to solve it.
Right. And it goes also to our office like work. Like I think what's true is that different personalities have different slants of their labor that they're more comfortable with. And so we have to be willing to labor in every area. Okay, if I'm owning my zone, I'm playing my field, I'm solving problems, well, then this is the holistic job that I'm doing, and I have to be willing to labor in all of it. The 80% that I love and the 20% that I hate, I got to labor both of those urgently, you know.
Yeah.
I like for Enrique,
or the 80% that I hate. And
oh yeah, maybe it's the 80% I don't like, the 20% I love, whatever it is. But we have to be able to labor with the urgency. And when those all three tie together, we understand that we are laboring because we love them.
That's good.
We are laboring because we need to lead them. And the same is true for each one. You can apply it each to each other. And that's the sense of urgency.
All right, next one.
Okay, next one is one of our best ones. Work ourselves out of a job.
My dad told me growing up that if you work yourself out of a job, you'll always have one. And what that just meant is to develop the people under you to take on the responsibilities that you're currently carrying. And so I just said it, that we can't only be, as for our staff, we can't only be workers, we have to be equippers. That Tim's primary job is to not just be the guy on stage every week doing the Bible study for kids and having a puppet in his hand.
Right.
His job is to equip a dozen other people to take on that responsibility.
Right.
McKinley's job is not to only be the person who sings songs.
Right.
She has to be developing people under her that can take on that responsibility.
Those roles, yeah. No, it's good. I think that the fear of working ourselves out of a job is that we won't have one, that we will be replaced, that then we won't be valuable, then that someone else will get the accolades and attention that we were hoping we would have. And it causes insecurity, it breeds competition, and I think you and I have seen so much, not in this church, but we've seen so much competitiveness in the Big C church that we were like, how do we talk about it in a way that declares that not only are we not in competition, but in fact our goal is to give it away.
Yeah.
And so for every person, no matter the level of leadership they're in, if you're in your job, in your role, in your task, and a year from now you're doing it exactly the same way, then you really probably missed the mark and are doing something wrong. There's got to be something actively that you're always intentionally trying to develop somebody else to give away. And it really is a game changer for the cultural heart of our team. And it's a red flag for us when we see it's not happening, that someone might be not the right fit on the team.
Right. If you're the hero and always have to be the ministry hero, then you're probably just a bad leader.
Right.
You're talented, but...
Well, you're either a bad leader or you have a insecure, prideful heart. Like one or the other. Yeah. Keep going. Sorry.
No, that's it.
That's it. That's all I got about it.
I mean, we can keep talking about it. I'm watching the clock.
Oh,
and I'm trying to
you're doing good. I was just making sure. No, I think
within reason.
That was just one that I've seen play out in ways that, like, in the beginning, people didn't really believe us. They didn't believe us that if they would work themselves out of a job, they would always have one. And
there's always more.
Right.
And so, like, if you can... Whitney's the person that did this, I mean, in the best, as being a person who is a greeter, the head of the greeter team, and then handed it off to another person. And it's like everything that she takes, she then builds and then hands to somebody else that they can build.
Right.
Like right now, for Enrique and his paid staff team, them getting Stephanie Ayala to come and lead open house. That's incredible because what's happening is Stephanie is operating in a high level of leadership and responsibility that they're not having to carry every day. So what they've done is they've given their job away. But that doesn't make me, as the key leader, go, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fire Enrique.
Right.
I'm going to
hire, even need him anymore.
I'm going to hire Stephanie.
Right.
Now, Stephanie, if you need a job,
let's talk about
it. But I'm saying, do you know why? Because as the church grows, what's going to happen is, my hope is that Enrique will continue to rise to the leadership occasion, and then under him are people that are already being developed in the house and the pipeline, and that we don't have to just go out and try to steal people from other littler churches and other places and try to hire talent that doesn't know our culture.
Correct.
Because our culture and our values are what's most important. And so a Stephanie who's in the house already knows the culture and the values.
Right.
Jason, her husband, already knows the culture and the values of the house. It would make it way simpler. Stephanie, I'm not trying to apply pressure. You're just a perfect example.
Yeah.
That if Stephanie came onto the team it would be seamless.
She would already know. She would already understand.
We don't have to sit down and talk 20 values.
Right.
And she's going, what? I didn't know.
And take 2 years for it to really implement and get it. And the other piece is that a lot of times we ourselves cannot see the capacity of what we could possibly step into. There's lots of times that we have to be willing to do it even when we don't see what's next. There was, I mean, not to like toot my own horn, but there was lots of times in passing things off that I didn't even know that there was going to be more. I didn't know that there was a next step. It wasn't like I was giving it away so I could do this, but it wasn't until I gave it away that this opened up an availability. And so like sometimes we think, well, I don't have anything else to do. I'll just keep it. It's not a big deal. But when we're willing to give it away, we don't even know what God has yet in store and what he's got in his back pocket that'll be available to you.
Tyler was responsible for like bringing out props on stage, carrying out the podium. Well, Tyler has recruited some other guys, and now he's got Ray, and Ray's been doing it.
Right.
But Ray's taking it to a whole other level than Tyler was.
Right.
Not because, so I don't look at Tyler and go, dude, you were doing a horrible job at this.
Right.
Because Tyler's doing 15 other things.
Right.
But when I look at who Tyler recruited and what Ray is doing, Ray's taking it to a whole other level. I think more of Tyler for recruiting Ray. And then I look at Ray and I go,
clearly casting the vision well enough that Ray not only grabbed onto it, but then built upon it.
And this guy, Ray, his heart is to serve.
Right.
And he's been waiting for an opportunity to use his giftings. You know what had to happen? Tyler had to get out of the way.
Right.
So Ray could find a place to use his giftings and take it to a whole new level.
Right.
And Ray provides peace for me on Sunday.
Right.
More than Tyler was able to because I had Tyler doing 10 other things.
Right. No, it's really great. And so,
but if Tyler was like, no, I'm pastor's guy, I'm going to carry the pulpit out for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
Then there's no room for Tyler to do other things.
And do more things. Right. And so maybe what you're holding on to is actually somebody else's best yes that they're missing out on. And then maybe you're missing out on your next level if you don't let go of it.
And developing people is hard.
It is. Oh, that's true.
So work yourself out of a job. You got to sit down and talk with them. You've got to show them, like we right now are working through with our staff team all of their budgets. And we're exposing them to a lot of church overarching budget ideas.
Yeah.
I never had that. I was never exposed to layers of leadership above me in that capacity. So you know what it was? I was behind in my maturity in that area to know how to do it. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to show Tyler, expose him to navigating those resources now so that when he is 40, he's a killer.
Right.
But that's work.
And we have to be okay with the fact, I have to be okay with that this first time that Brady is overseeing and looking through the youth budget, she's probably going to miss something that I would catch.
Right.
We have to be okay with, maybe that's not even the best example, when Tyler gave it away to Ray, he had to be okay with the first 2 weeks. Ray didn't really know the job yet.
Right.
He didn't really understand fully what it was. And so maybe
he had to hold his hand a little bit.
He had to hold his hand and he had to be okay with the first week going, I hope he does it. I don't know if he's going to drop the ball or if he's going to do it.
Yeah.
We can have this fear that it won't have the level of excellence that we want and that we think we have. And what we, in our fear, it may take a step back for a week or two or a little bit of time. But the truth is when we do that, they'll rise up and it'll actually be better. We just have to trust that. We have to trust the process. Yeah. We hate the process, but we have to do it.
When we were set up and tear down the first time, we had this big box truck that had all of our stuff and we would drive it to the wedding venue to unload it every single Sunday. And there was a week, we were maybe 9 months in, and I was sick on a Sunday. And so some guy came to my house, he got the keys to the box truck and drove it. And when I came and picked the box truck up later the next week, it wouldn't start because he left the lights on. And so now it's Sunday morning, the truck won't start. It's dead. We have to get a tow truck out there. It's a whole thing. And there was a whole bunch of paint on the back bumper from somebody that he hit. But he didn't even know he hit anybody. Blue paint all over the back bumper of the truck because he just destroyed someone's car in a parking lot and didn't even know it.
He didn't know?
Oh,
dang.
Said the guy said he didn't know.
But sad.
And so now, you know what happened in me? I have to drive the truck every single Sunday. And you know what I did for the next 4 years? Every Sunday, I drove the truck.
Even the Sunday your son was born.
The Sunday my son was born. That
Absurd.
was
Absurd.
dumb. But that was dumb in me. What I should have done is I should have thought of who's another man in the church that I can train
Right.
to do this. Who's a guy who probably already knows how to do this that I
Right.
can recruit, I
Right.
can go and have coffee with,
Right.
I can explain the pressure this is on me to be here 52 weeks
Wow,
in a
right.
year. But I was too caught up in hero Truston. This is my job.
Right.
This is why I'm
My
valuable.
value, my
value
identity,
here. I have to pick
right.
this thing up and do it instead of giving it away.
That's really
what would
good.
have been a much better leader for me the first 5 years is to never drive the box truck.
Right. To train somebody different every week.
To train 10 guys.
Right.
But I didn't understand it yet.
Well, you hadn't been taught it either.
I hadn't been taught it or modeled it.
Yeah. Last one.
Yeah.
Is we say all the words, even the last 10%.
So much. It's so much.
It's the best one, even though it's hard,
It's hard.
because it's what sets us apart, I think, from a lot of places. We actually stole this.
Part of it.
Part of it from another church, and theirs was we speak the truth, even the last 10%. And truth is important, and we are big on truth. And
Yeah.
like, there's not a whole lot of places where you can get fired like pretty instantly. But if you're going to be lying a bunch, we
Yeah.
ain't handling that.
Yeah.
But for us, it went beyond just the truth.
Yeah.
It went
This is not only biblical. This
right.
is like we speak the truth, in my mind anyways, is like associated with like what the Bible has to say. So
Yeah.
like I'm going to teach on this polarizing idea of biblical truth.
Right, right.
But
Well, yeah, and yes, it
It's
could
that
go that
plus.
way, and the like, yeah, don't lie. But then for us, it's we found, and we grew up. I think Rachel even mentioned it from the pulpit on Sunday, around leaders in churches who said words that weren't being said, made you feel like you had to read between the lines. And it's real confusing. In fact, it's a spirit of confusion, which is really demonic. And we were just like, we're just going to call it out and be straight that like we say all our words, even the last 10%. The last 10% is the part that nobody wants to say, the part that's hard, the part that you know, that's hard, the
Right,
part
it's
that's
hard.
awkward.
yeah.
But wow, it's freeing when you know that not only is it okay, but it's expected that we say all our words.
Okay, we're going to talk a bunch about this, but
Okay.
then the second half, just to give the overarching idea, the last 10%, what that means is the part you really don't want to say.
Right.
Like the 3 sentences that are in the pit of your stomach that you're nervous you're going to burn a friendship over.
Right.
But like, what good does it do to live a life hedging all of these words, hoping that the person gets it, when it's a lot easier to just say all of the words?
Yeah.
We love each other. We're kind. We're full of the fruits of the Spirit.
Correct.
So like this value lives in a culture.
In a culture, right.
So this is not like
This is good. Clarity.
on college campuses screaming our political agenda at people.
No.
We speak the truth the last 10%. No, it's within a
Within
biblical context
Right.
of all of our other values.
Of above all else, guard your heart. Of be fun, make fun, have fun.
Yeah.
Of like all of
Yeah.
those pieces. No, it's good.
Love,
Constantly
with, love
celebrating.
with urgency.
Right.
Right. All of these things are kind of the protection, the fruit to the symbol, right? The fruit to the bell of the harsh words.
Right. No, it's really good.
We say all the words. You know what all the words means is the feelings and the opinions and the facts. I can't tell how many times I talk to somebody and they'll say to me, well, Pastor, you know, a lot of people are saying. And I'm like, oh, they are? What are they saying? Well, they're saying this. And it's like this real vague idea. And I said, oh, well, who said it? Well, I don't want to talk about who said it. Okay, well, that's not all the words.
Right.
You're hoping that I can read through the lines of awkwardness or ambiguity and that I'm going to be
And
able to
make assumptions.
but then make a change. Now, I understand that if you're a person that's not in leadership, you're going to talk that way.
Right.
But this is staff value. And
Right.
really, it'd be a value that would extend to our elders and directors.
100%.
That like, I need you to communicate to me what the actual issue is.
Right.
Because if I don't know what the actual issue is, then I'm not able to lead through the thing.
Right. No, it's really good. I think that, I mean, and really for anyone in our leadership team, because like, yeah, say that for VNA Kruger, who is incredible and helps lead our like welcome and greeting department of the whole church. If she was to come to Enrique and be like, some of our first time guests, they're just not really connecting.
Yeah.
I just want you to know, I think that there's a way.
There's just a lot of people slipping through the cracks.
There's just a lot of people. And Enrique was like, what do you mean? What happened? And she wouldn't give any more to that, which she would never do. But if we would not be able to solve the cultural piece of like what's actually going on.
Right.
But because she has been incredible to actually say all the words, we now have the greatest, I believe, welcome team in all the world. Like our people catch everyone, they say hello, they say hello first, they connect with them, they make sure they're following up with them. But clarity is the key that like cuts through all the crap and the confusion that the enemy wants to bring into the church.
Dude, clarity cuts through confusion.
It really does.
And when there's confusion, that's not of God.
It's not.
And so we have to say all the words and trust that they're going to fall on ears that are willing to receive them and don't have malice in their ears. And so like you can't have malice in your mouth or in your ear. And so for me, when someone says something to me that might be perceived as negative, I don't have bad intent in my ear because I want to get better. The tug of more is about getting better. It means I am only able to be where I am because of my capacity.
100%.
I want to get to more. Tell me the more that I need to do. But if you're unwilling, if you're only going to tell me like 40% of the words, then I don't really know what you're talking about.
Right. And for us as leaders, holding this value and having this value, then in the other direction. So if we're having to bring correction, like to the team in any area or whatever, if they feel like I'm not saying all my words, then there's a lot of lines they could read through of like, are you saying I'm about to get fired? Like,
let's talk some examples that we've been in where people haven't said all the words.
Okay.
And it's caused confusion in us.
Okay. Golly, I mean, there's so many. Where should we start? I
gave this example not too long ago. I think of a leader in my life that Rachel and I would always try to connect to. And we would say hey, we would love to schedule dinner together. We would love to get together with you. And they would say, oh, we would love that. That would be so great. That would be amazing. We would love to. And then we'd be like, okay, well, let's do it. Yes, we would love to. And so they're saying the right words. Yes, we would love to, but then would never actually follow up on the we would love to. And so it was a manipulation of words saying, or like if you invite them to your birthday party, oh, I'd love to. You want to come to my birthday party? I'd love to come to your birthday party. Well, that's not a yes.
Right.
It's just manipulation to make me think yes. And then your birthday party comes and the people aren't there.
Right.
You're like, I thought you said I would love. Well, I would love to, but I just wasn't able to. That's manipulation.
Yeah. And then treating you as though you should have known that. Yeah. That's the part that brings the confusion of like, I think that when you don't say all the words, then the other person is left feeling like, am I an idiot? Did I misunderstand?
Yeah.
Did I, it's
and in a spiritual context that we lead in, it becomes easy to switch hats where you come into a conversation wearing a leader hat. And then when you get nervous to say the words as a leader, you throw on the spiritual hat and you start talking in Bible knees and you start throwing out verses. It's like, no. Take your Bible hat off. This is the culture we live in.
Right.
So I don't need you to Bible me. I need you to give me clarity from a leadership perspective of what you're talking about. So like, don't just talk to me about like, well, King David and Goliath and like all this stuff, when what you're really saying is, if you're the team leader, we have one bad greeter who's got a bad attitude we need to deal with.
Right.
Well, tell us
just
that.
Say
Don't
that.
tell me a story about David and Goliath.
That's really good. I think that people, what you're saying, the Bibleese is what you said, Christianese.
I don't need 3 proverbs. I need to know how this person on a worship team has a bad attitude and they need to be dealt with.
Yeah. I feel like the Lord is saying, or like these things where it's like, is the Lord saying that, or is that just something you would like to say?
Right.
And so, no, there's been countless times where people have wanted to meet with us and have been, what you just said, saying a whole lot of words about a lot of things, but then never actually saying, you know, it feels like there's really some contention and some disunity and among the brethren and all this. And we're like, what happened? And I think for a while, you and I, because of our hearts for people and our love for people, we tried to like, give them the grace and the understanding of like, okay, come on, keep talking. But eventually it was like, no, just say the words. And so like the team knows, like they will hear me say more words, more words, which means I know you have more to say, keep going.
Yeah.
And then, just being able to say, we say all the words. And we clarify that sometimes like, hey, we're not saying anything we're not saying. What I said is what it is. This is the expectation. Here's the day we're going to follow up on it. Here's where it's at. It's not that you're going to show up next week and we changed everything around. If we didn't tell you we weren't going to, we're not going to do that. I think that's an important piece that like, can leave people feeling confused. And then again, assumptions are difficult.
You ever, this happens to me all the time. I'll say to Whitney, where do you want to go to lunch? And she'll say, I don't know. But you know, the truth is she means it.
I really don't know. And I really don't care.
But if you're ever with me and you ask where I want to go to lunch and I say, I don't care, I'm lying.
He absolutely cares.
I always know where I want to go. I have 10 options and these would be fantastic. Because I cholerically speak, but there's some people that live their whole life with that. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? I don't care. I'm like, just say the words.
Wow, and I think people think that they don't want to be offensive. And so I don't want to offend. I don't want to cause hurt. But really...
I'm not being bossy. If you ask what I want, I'm going to tell you.
Right. The confusion of not being clear actually is more offensive, is more hurtful. And so like... just say all your words. And then we've had to learn to even say, is that the last 10%? Like, is that everything? Is there anything else you'd like to say?
So here's the last 10% is, okay, Whitney as executive pastor, if she calls a staff person into her office and she says, hey, wanted to meet with you. I really feel like there's a heart issue that you've got going on. And so I need you to pray and ask the Lord about what's going on in your heart. And because it just feels like you're under attack. There's an attack in your life, and I feel like there's a heart issue that you just need to really pray about. So would you do that for me? And that's all she says. How is that leading the staff person? Now, she's saying 90% because that's already awkward to say.
Right.
It's already awkward to say you got a heart issue, you're under attack. Those are already tough things. But shouldn't she also then say the last 10%, which is like, because man, I feel like you have unforgiveness because of this situation. Or I feel like you have something going on at home and you haven't really talked about it and that's really distracting you. Or I feel like attach something to it or it's just out there floating.
Well, and the like reality, like if I am aware of a situation, then I better just say it. Yeah. Hey, and the reason I'm bringing this is because on this day at this time, this happened. Or if I'm not aware, then say that. I really am not, I have no idea actually what's going on, but I can just feel a tension between us. Can we solve it? And go.
I said that from the leader to the person following.
Right.
But in our culture, the inverse is true also.
Right.
That if she has that and says what's going on, our expectation is that the person on staff would share the last 10%.
Right.
Man,
even if it's you are the one that ticked me off and hurt me.
Talk about it.
Right.
And like, I grew up in a culture in the church, like denominational world, where if you got caught in any kind of sin, you would be
out.
I have a friend of mine who is a great leader, man of God. And he was seen going to a rated R movie that had no nudity. It was like actiony. Like actiony 300
blood and guts
gladiator, that kind of vibe. And he went and saw this movie and it got reported to like the uppity district. And this guy got removed from his position and had to go into like
3 months of counseling or
3 months of counseling and like restoration. And it was like, and so you know what happens in that culture is we're terrified to admit any fault or any struggle. Well, that's not how we operate here. I would much rather one of my staff come and tell me, hey, pastor, man, I've been really stressed out. And so I've been overeating, or I went and got drunk, or I started smoking weed, or pastor, pornography has came back into my life and I'm losing the battle. I would much rather them come and say all of the words, the last 10%, so that then I can help restore and speak life and pastor them.
Right.
Than for them to hide that thing away, and now there just be this weird tension going on because I know something's going on. I'm spirit led. I know there's something broken in this person's life. Or not just sin issues, like leadership stuff.
Right.
Like if I'm demanding too much of Julia, right, to lead her area, and all of her cameras are broken because Tiffany dropped them all. I'm just kidding. But if all of her equipment's broken and her budget's at zero, because it's the end of the year, I told her she can't spend any more money on cameras. But I'm saying, where's my content? Where's my... And she won't say, well, Pastor, all my stuff is broken and you haven't given me enough money. I'm at a loss.
Right.
And so like sometimes the staff has to be willing to say the truth upwards so that I can have some perspective of like, oh, the reason that camp went over budget is because we had so many kids sign up. We had to get another cabinet and a whole nother bus.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
Well, thank you for giving me that clarity because now I'm not frustrated.
Right. That's the piece. It took us a long time to build a culture of trust because the only way that you can this is to actually establish a real culture of trust where if I say that you're not kicked out based on blah, 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 you're not. Like if I say that you're allowed to say all the words to me, then you are, and you're not punished for it.
Yeah.
What you're thinking one thing.
I don't know how you know that. Whitney knows I'm thinking something. She's mid-sentence.
Because your brain, I can see it turning. But it's important to establish, like if you have this value and you are not actually holding the truth that it's trustworthy space, then you're
nobody
a punk.
will trust you.
Then don't do that.
Nobody
will trust you.
I started to think that before we taught staff values, we should have taught or talked about clean the plate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which we don't. We've been in an hour.
No, we can do it. But did we do clean the plate a long time ago? I feel like we did, but we probably would have such much better perspective to teach it now than we did whenever we did.
Okay, watch the next episode. We're at 62 minutes. So watch the next episode and we'll talk about clean the plate.
Yeah.
We'll talk about which, it settles my heart so much in something we're walking through leadership-wise right now.
Yeah.
Do you know what we just did?
Clean the plate.
We cleaned the plate.
No, it's so true.
We cleaned the plate. We'll talk about it in the next episode because it's what you said, that all of these values have to exist in a culture of trust.
Yeah.
Where we're trusting each other. The culture is what it's all laid upon. And if the culture's a wreck, the values are garbage.
Yeah.
They don't mean anything.
The last piece, I think, like...
They're a facade.
Do I?
They're a facade.
Yeah, it's a facade. That's a facade. If you and I did not have this between us...
Right.
100 times, this would have blown up. 100 times.
100.
In the last 2 weeks, this one value has saved us 10 times.
I've told you words in the last month that have hurt your
feelings.
Right. But I had to give you the last 10%.
Right. Right.
Because what good does it do for me to know a situation that's going on and then walk into war without her knowing what is going on?
Right. No, it's so true. And in that case, like, hey, I need you to be aware of the situation. But there's also been times between us where it's like, hey, I need to tell you this thing.
Yeah, that's in me.
That's going on. I love you. I love you so much that I have to tell you. The Bible says wounds from a friend can be trusted. And for both of us, there's been times where it's like, I have to say this. And like, I remember the first one ever of like, I'm going to say it. Oh God, I'm going to say it. It's like Michael Scott in the elevator, like, I'm going to say it. No, I'm not going to say it here. No, it's too whatever. But, and you were kind of mad at me at first, but then not. But then later was like, thanks for. And it probably wasn't the first one. It was just the first one I was scared.
Got one in my head. I think we've talked about it here before.
Though when I said that you have expectations for humans.
Yeah, I have unrealistic expectations of humans. And it hit me in the face like a bat. But she was right. It was pre-get off the throne.
Yeah.
She's right. I'm too demanding. I'm too choleric. I'm too wanting excellence.
But I didn't say it because...
No, but you know, you didn't even say it about ministry.
No, correct.
That's you said it about me and Rachel.
Yeah.
And you were right.
Yeah.
And so, dang, that was maybe one of the most, not hurtful.
No, hurtful.
Not hurtful, but hurting.
Hurting.
Because it wasn't said
I wasn't saying, no, I
me.
said it super in love. And that's, again, speak the truth in love. But there have been, Yeah. And I think that, man, the thing about it is, at first it was hard, but now it's healing. Is that the way to say it? At first it might hurt, but then it's healing. Because like the last few weeks, I know that what you've shared with me, you have felt like, oh, this hurts her. But what's truth is, in your speaking it, there was so much healing in the moment.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I realized, oh, what we're doing is working, and the enemy's tricky, man. He wants to slip in and bring confusion. But when we say, nope, you don't get to,
Here's what a real relationship is.
Yeah.
Here's what love is. Something came up that happened to me from outside of our church that hurt my feelings. I was rejected somewhere outside of our church. And Whitney, and I didn't even know what happened. And so Whitney came and told me what happened. She cut me. But do you know what a real relationship is? Right after that cut, the balm.
Yeah.
The ointment of healing. And so it's not that you just have to deliver bad news.
Right.
It's that as pastors and as leaders and as Christians, we should also be able to deliver healing words. And so like when she tells me you have unrealistic expectations of humans, those were not the only words.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
That sentence was followed up with 20 minutes of who you are, who God made you to be, who I've seen you be in all of these other areas. And really that hard sentence is only true in you 5% of your life.
Right.
But that 5% is causing you chaos. Balm, healing, ointment, Band-Aids.
It's good.
Stitches, healing, doctor. And so that's why the last 10%, because unless that 10% is shared, then the healing can't be given.
Yeah, but that thing that just happened that I shared with you, I literally laughed because Enrique was like, "Are you going to tell him? Do you really need to tell him this right now?" And I said, he literally yesterday told me something that he didn't have to tell me. And what I think is true is that the longer you do this, the temptation to hold it can become, because we've already said all the words. You already know how I feel. You already did it. You already trust me. And it's like, nope, I have to hold the line to it and never let a small thing because it can become a big thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's really good. I think it's really helpful.
Nailed it.
Did it.
Guys, okay, so next episode, Clean the Plate.
Oh, shoot.
Better get ready.
We're going to talk more about all of what we're just talking about, too.
Holy crap.
Dang.
That's a heavy one. And there's all kind of good things happening. This week is Costume Sunday. Wait, when is this going out?
No. Yeah, this goes out this week. Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah, this Sunday is Costume Sunday, so you better come in a costume.
Ooh.
I'm going to look like an idiot.
It's the best, though.
Mine?
Yes.
Even though I haven't actually sourced one piece yet?
I think Tim's working on the sourcing of it.
I'm going to look like an idiot, but it's going to be good, and I'm preaching in it.
I was going to say, but it's connected to the Word of God.
So you have to look at me looking like an idiot for 45 minutes. You might think I look like an idiot all the time.
No.
So I'm doing that. Whitney leaked a little bit that y'all are doing some fruit.
Yeah, we're dressing like we're being fruity.
Can Aaron just wear Fruit of a Loom and come on Sunday?
Right? I thought about, remember that lady, the Chiquita banana lady?
Yeah.
Well, that's not what I'm doing, but
Fruit of the Loom used to have a commercial where there was a guy who was grape and a guy who was an apple.
Yes.
And then I think of Lunch Ladyland with Billy Madison Adam Sandler and Chris Farley. Lunch Lady. They're all at the end dressed as Sloppy Joes.
That's really funny. We should have been a Sloppy Joe or hamburger. Oh.
Yeah, I see God. I see the Holy Spirit in the hamburger. Okay, guys, we love y'all so much. Hey, if you have any questions or comments, we want to hear them. My friend Robin Moody asked me a question just the other day that was such a good question. It literally shifted what we were doing on a Sunday, and my wife and I did the conversation. Yeah. So, like, really, we want to know your thoughts and your questions because that's what we want to teach to.
Absolutely. No, it's so good.
All right, love y'all.
Love y'all.
See ya.